The two companies working hardest to escape Nvidia just fell deeper into debt to Nvidia. That is not a typo, and it is not competition, it is something stranger. Over one holiday weekend, OpenAI, Nvidia, and Anthropic each made a move that crashed into the other five, and the result contradicts almost everything the last 2 years taught you about who needs whom. One offer sits at the center of it all. Hold this frame. It's a three-sided market. Supply is compute, the chips. Demand is revenue, who's actually paying. And a third axis nobody even drew a year ago. The government itself, stepping onto the field. Every one of these 6 moves pushes on one of those 3 levers. And this weekend all 3 got shoved at exactly the same time. Why does that matter? For 2 years the story was simple. OpenAI made the models, Nvidia made the chips, everybody paid Nvidia, and the money flowed one direction. That neat little arrangement is over. The supplier is becoming a bank. The challenger is outrunning the leader on revenue. The state is being invited to own a piece. Nothing about the old map still holds. And this week, everyone found out at once. And no, this isn't the usual noise. 5 headlines fighting to sound urgent. None of them moving anything. These 6 actually contradict each other. One company is racing away from Nvidia's chips while quietly leaning harder on Nvidia's money. Follow that single thread, and the whole picture cracks wide open. Let me introduce the 3 empires first. Start with OpenAI. Depending which round you count, it's valued somewhere between $300 billion and over $800 billion after its funding this spring. It still owns the consumer mindshare. ChatGPT is the name your parents know. But there's a crack in that armor. Reporting this week suggests ChatGPT's share of generative AI traffic slipped below half the market for the first time back in May. The king is still king, but the crown is loosening. Empire 2 Nvidia. For this entire boom, Nvidia sold the shovels and everyone lined up to buy. Then look what surfaced Thursday. Nvidia is rolling out a program that lets AI cloud providers get its GPUs through revenue sharing and credit support, instead of paying billions up front. Read that again. The chip company is no longer just selling chips. It's financing the customers who buy them. Nvidia is quietly turning itself into the industry's lender. Empire 3. Anthropic. The challenger everyone underestimated. And here's where it gets interesting. Anthropic says its annualized run rate revenue has blown past $30 billion. Up from roughly $9 billion at the end of last year. Its count of customers each spending over $1 million a year has topped 1,000. And by its own numbers, that group doubled in under 2 months. The underdog isn't creeping up. It's sprinting. Hold the 3 side by side. OpenAI, the consumer brand quietly losing traffic share. Nvidia, the supplier quietly becoming a financier. Anthropic, the enterprise challenger, quietly overtaking on revenue. 3 empires, each stepping off its old square. Now watch what happens when their 6 specific moves this week land right on top of each other. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. These 6 moves don't just compete for attention. A couple of them flatly cancel each other out. One company is fleeing Nvidia's chips while falling deeper into Nvidia's debt. Another is courting Washington's money, while a different arm of Washington writes rules to constrain it. Let me lay all 6 on the board, one at a time. Move 1, and it's the big one. OpenAI proposed handing the United States government roughly a 5% stake in itself. Sam Altman reportedly pitched it directly to President Trump and 2 of his top economic officials, framing it as a way to share AI's gains with the public and ease regulatory friction. Move 2. Anthropic's revenue surge I just described. By several measures, it's now running neck and neck with, or ahead of OpenAI on run rate. The leader is being challenged on money and offering equity to Washington in the very same breath. Move 3 lands right on top of that. The White House is reportedly in advanced talks with OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic on a set of voluntary standards for releasing new AI models, cybersecurity benchmarks, review timelines, with a framework that could be announced within days. So government ownership and government rulemaking show up in the same week. That is not a coincidence. That's a pattern forming in real time. Move 4. Anthropic is now in talks with Samsung to build its own custom chip, reportedly eyeing Samsung's 2-nanometer process. Move 5 ties straight to it. This comes just after OpenAI unveiled its own custom inference processor, codenamed Jalapeno, built with Broadcom and claiming better performance per watt than rival hardware. Both giants are engineering their way off of Nvidia's chips. And yet, remember Nvidia's move, it's becoming their financier at the exact same time. And move 6, the quiet one. Anthropic rolled back a feature in its Claude Code tool after scrutiny over tracking tied to user time zones and possible links to Chinese tech firms. Small on its own. But it lands the same week the company is negotiating national security standards with the White House and courting a chip deal in Asia. Timing is everything. And this timing is brutal. Now the collisions. Start with supply. OpenAI and Anthropic are both spending fortunes to design their own chips, specifically to escape Nvidia's grip. That should be Nvidia's nightmare. Except Nvidia just made itself the one writing the checks that fund their build-outs. So the two companies trying hardest to leave are now more financially tangled with Nvidia than ever. That is not competition. That's a hostage situation dressed up as a partnership. Next, demand. The old assumption. Whoever owned the consumer would own the market. OpenAI owns the consumer. But Anthropic just proved the real money is enterprise. 1,000+ companies paying 7 figures each. ChatGPT has the users. Anthropic increasingly has the revenue. Those two facts are colliding head-on. And Wall Street is about to have to choose which one it believes as both companies march toward IPOs.
And the biggest collision of all, the government axis. In 1 week, OpenAI offers the state a 5% ownership slice, and the state sits down to write the rules every model must follow. If Washington owns a piece of OpenAI while setting the standards its rivals must meet, what exactly is a level playing field anymore? Anthropic and Google haven't said yes to any of it, and that silence is deafening. Step back and the pattern is unmistakable. These aren't software companies anymore. A firm doesn't offer a government equity in itself unless it expects to be treated like national infrastructure, like a railroad, a utility, a defense contractor. That's the real shift hiding under all 6 moves. Artificial intelligence just stopped asking to be regulated like an app and started negotiating like a country. And the stakes are enormous because so much now sits in so few hands. 2 labs are absorbing an outsized share of every venture dollar raised this year. One chipmaker underwrites both of them. And both are racing to go public in 2026, which means these tangled arrangements are about to be priced by the open market, with your retirement fund very likely sitting on the other side of that trade.
So here's the single decision I promised you. Of all 6 moves, one reframes everything. OpenAI offering the US government a 5% stake in itself, a slice worth anywhere from $15 to over $40 billion, depending on the valuation you trust. That's the move the other 5 are colliding around. A private company voluntarily inviting the state to become an owner. Watch whether Anthropic and Google follow, because if they do, the AI industry as we knew it is finished. If this reframed how you see the race, tell me in the comments which of the 6 scares you most. Hope you got something out of this. Hit subscribe for more in this lane, and we'll see you in the next one.